Welcome to Don't Repeat What Mommy Says. I'm Jennifer, and this is my daughter Lauren. I'm going to try desperately to look at the camera this time, but don't judge if I don't.
We're
So,
working on it.
are we doing fitness or are we doing crusty moms?
Christy Moms. Okay, so here's the funniest part about this show topic. Back before the rebrand, you did a whole show on this, and clearly you weren't paying attention because I said some of the terms and she totally had no idea what I was talking
Michelle
about.
was probably talking and I wasn't listening because it was boring.
She was talking ad nauseum. So we're revisiting an older topic if you've been following since the old days of the show, which is like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I
and
say
that
that as if
wasn't
it's
like
been
it
on
wasn't the
forever.
same show.
It wasn't the same
Yeah,
show,
I never
but
listened to what she was saying. I couldn't. I tried once and my brain hurt.
so we're talking mostly we're gonna I think talk about the crunchy moms, but since she had no idea what a crunchy mom was and then I said something about the silky moms too, we're just gonna go over what is the
Right,
terminology.
because crunchy moms just sounds like you haven't washed your underwear for a week, and that's gross. Ladies, come
Yeah.
on, don't be crunchy.
So crunchy parents prioritize natural living, organic food, and holistic remedies.
So why are they calling
S-
them crunchy? Because what?
I
Because of granola? Like maybe?
like a granola mom.
Well,
Well,
maybe. I
because
mean, that's
then
what I'm thinking. Like granola and Birkenstock moms, or what?
like trying to keep up with the term, like the slang terms for different
I
types of
just
parents is
wonder
like going to
what.
give me an
Like,
aneurysm.
who came up with it and why? I just want to
Because
know.
have you heard the people talking about having the almond moms?
I don't know any kind of moms.
The almond moms are the ones who were like crazy about everybody getting fat, and they'd be like, "I'm not hungry, I'm just thirsty," and drink like 8 glasses of water, but not ever eat food.
And then eat like half an almond for a snack.
Hmm
I mean, I
If
mean,
I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on my slang terms. I really don't know. There's too friggin' many of them.
I am an advocate for almonds as a snack, but
Yes, but you're not an almond mom.
no, I eat. I have to eat. Um, I mean, everybody has to eat. Let's be fair. But so I mean, I work out a lot, and then I have issues with muscle. And if you just saw my 54 birthday video, I have muscle, but it's very difficult for me to keep it because of the brain thing. So I actually have to intake a lot more calories than I burn several days a week to keep that muscle. So I couldn't be an almond mom. That was, I mean, I would be emaciated, and I mean, I already look a little skeletal with what I do, so I couldn't do that, and I don't think that's healthy.
Yeah.
Please
Okay,
don't starve
so,
yourself to lose weight, people. I know.
yep.
Just please don't do
Please don't
that.
do that.
And please don't do that to your kids. God, no.
Yeah. So we got off on a big tangent
So the
there.
crunchy moms are doing everything natural. Maybe they call them crunchy because, veggies are crunchy.
Maybe. So then conversely is the silky moms, which embrace modern conveniences, including formula feeding and traditional medical practices. And then the third term is the scrunchy moms, the normal people who fall somewhere in between because they're not too far on either end of the spectrum.
And you can spot them because they all have the high bun with the scrunchie,
Yeah.
which is a
I
practical
got
hairdo.
I got my
It's
scrunchie
practical.
because it's windy out today, so we took the kids outside. I had a bun, high bun with a
So
scrunchie.
back when you guys were little, I mean the top bun wasn't a thing, but I did the clip. So my hair was just
Yeah.
like in some messy thing in a clip
Yeah.
all the
The
time.
claw clips.
The claw clips.
Okay, so I found a comparison table on Pinterest between crunchy and silky moms.
Okay.
So crunchy moms often practice co-sleeping or bed sharing with their infants,
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
practicing
None of that.
family bed arrangements.
No, thank you. I like
Silky
getting laid.
moms,
I'm sorry, I like sex.
yeah. Silky moms opt for individual sleeping spaces for each family member, promoting independent sleep habits.
For their
I
husbands
promote
too.
independent. I don't know if they go that far, but man,
I said
I
each
some
family
days,
member. No, because I
yeah.
sometimes think that too. Like back in the what 1800s. I don't think unless you were impoverished, husbands and wives didn't share rooms. They probably weren't even in like the same space in the house.
I think it was more common in like the lower income
Right, because
families.
they
It was
didn't, it
like a
was a small
sign of,
house. Right.
because what is that? There's some like famous house in Springfield that I went to visit when I was in college for some class thing.
Wasn't it the one that Dad and I went to?
Yeah, the
With the,
Dana something
oh no, not
house.
that one. I was thinking of that
Well,
one with the
if
weird
some
sphinx in the front.
if somebody knows what I'm talking about, it's like a historic site in Springfield. I want to say it was built by Frank Lloyd Wright, but I could be totally incorrect on that. I don't remember. But people were aghast because this woman and her husband had bedrooms on opposite ends of this ginormous
Yeah,
house.
but I mean, if you
But
had
that was like,
money,
right, that's what you did when you had the money. It was like a poor people thing to share a bed
well,
with
not only
anyone.
that, I think people back then understood men and women don't really like each other that much, and they don't really enjoy each other's company all that much. And I don't think it's changed today, to be honest with you. I think we almost like force ourselves to do that. So they literally like had kind of their separate lives. They did stuff together, like they ate together and all that kind of family crap. But other than that, they just got together for conjugal visits. Now, think how much more you would like your husband if he just showed up for a conjugal visit once in a while. And the men would ask, like, "Honey, can I come to your room tonight?" And she'd be like, "Yes," or "No."
Well, and that's why like you see layouts that people make of like famous castles, and you'll see the king's apartments and the queen's apartments, and sometimes they're like completely opposite ends of the building.
Well, because the
So,
kings were usually screwing around.
well, there's that
I
too.
mean, and their wives knew, they just didn't want it in their face. I don't advocate for that. I actually don't advocate for separate living like quarters, but I would be okay with my own bed because my husband snores sometimes and I don't like it.
I mean, I snore sometimes, but I also had the time my husband was talking in his sleep and he like sat up really dramatically and he smacked me in the face when he did it, and I was really pissed. So I can see the benefit of separate beds. Yeah, I really can.
Well, I threw a cat at Dad, so on accident. I was trying to get the cat off of me, and he ended up flying in the air and landing on my husband, and he was like dead asleep. Not after the cat landed on him. And
Oh
he just
no.
goes, "Why did you throw a cat at me?"
Like all upset.
See, it wouldn't have happened in the 18. Well, maybe it would have happened in the 1800s. We're not rich. We would have all been living in a one bedroom, like a one room
Right.
house. Um, but anyway, that was a
Okay.
tangent. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so more from the comparison table. Crunchy moms engage in DIY projects and crafts with their children, promoting creativity and hands-on learning.
Well, that's nice. I like it.
That's nice. I like that. And silky moms may be more likely to purchase ready-made toys and focus on structured play activities for their children.
See, I can get on board with everything except the structure because I was like a very unstructured mother, was I not?
Yeah, and that's kind of where I fall. Like, not that I never do craft activities and shiznit with my kids, but like kind of in the middle. I think the difference that this chart isn't really highlighting from what I've seen from the Crunchy Moms is the Crunchy Moms are big on like no screen time, no toys that make noise, very much like here's your
It's
super basic toy.
like a
Like,
Montessori situation.
yeah, and the Silky Moms are more like, here, kid, have a leap pad, which my kid has a leap pad. He plays on it a lot. But you know what else? My kid has learned a shitload from the leap pad, so I don't even want to hear it about screen time because he told me the other day what an octahedron was. And
I
he's
don't
not even 3.
I don't honestly like think one is right or wrong. To be honest, like I'm not judging. Like if I think I just think that when somebody falls like squarely in one camp or the other and they're very passionate about it, they tend to get judgy of the moms who are like, no, that's not for me or my family. So whether you're silky or crunchy, like if you're crunchy, leave the silkies alone. If you're silky, leave the crunchies alone. Like they're doing their thing and their kids are going to
Right.
be okay. Everybody's going to be okay.
Yeah,
And
so
as
let's
far
see.
as the screen time, like you I like, come on, you don't like you say all the time, you do not get an award for making motherhood harder.
You really don't. I mean, if I'm I'm not an advocate for giving your kid a screen all the time and never engaging with them. But if you need to put Miss Rachel on or put Bluey on for 30 minutes to get something done, or even a whole morning if you're sick or something, like we pretty much always have the TV on in my house, and I know that's like big taboo
We do
these
too.
days.
We do too.
Like the TV is always on. If nothing else, it's background noise. That doesn't mean I'm not playing with my kids ever. But sometimes, like, I just want to exist. I'm with them all day, every day of their lives.
Well, and
So,
for you, you watched a baby story, so you learned all about giving birth at a very young age because for whatever reason you were like really interested in that show.
and you know what? I still am interested in shit like that. Like, most of the YouTube channels I subscribe to are like labor and delivery nurses and OBGYNs.
Right. And
So,
maybe it's good. I never was really, I mean, I took child development and all that stuff in school and all that. So, I mean, yeah, I did study it and it's cool, but I'm not that into it. Maybe it's
yeah.
because I'm old now and I can't have babies, so I don't, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder how I'll feel about it when I'm done having kids, if it'll still be something that I'm as passionate about. Because I know for some people, like, that's just their thing. But I also know myself, and like, once I'm past that phase, I'm kind of done with it.
Well, so I didn't even want to be present at the birth of my own children, but I didn't have a choice. So I don't really want to be present at births. Although I did like the show called Midwife.
So
Yeah.
that's another like crunchy versus silky thing that I know. The crunchy moms are more in the camp of home birth. Not necessarily all of them go in with the whole free birth, like not all go in that
We
far,
talked about just don't
but
go in the river. Just don't go in the river. Don't do it in the river, please.
they're big on, no inductions, no medications, as natural as possible, you know. And I'm cool with that. I mean,
I'm cool with that until they start telling everybody else that they don't know anything and they're stupid and they shouldn't have done it the way they did it. Because I've seen these moms on social media and I'm like, ladies, I promise you, they're moms too. They didn't do anything wrong.
yeah, so your silky mom is going to be more the give me all the drugs, let's induce at 39 weeks, regardless of the situation, and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I'm a little crunchy on that. Like, please know I'm not judging what. Sorry, I got the doinkies and I hate them.
It's okay. I understand. My hair's making me crazy today.
It's like every day. Ugh. Anyway, um, I don't remember what I was gonna say because I had a squish brain for like decades. But what was I saying?
You were kind of crunchier on the birth thing.
Yes, like they wanted to induce labor with my first one because in their estimation, she was 2 weeks late. She was not 2 weeks late. She was born the day after I said her due date was, and since I was there at conception, I thought maybe I would know better. Uh, but
Yeah.
and they kept trying to say that it's dangerous and stuff like that, and that was not based on like her being in distress or anything because it was 32 years ago and there wasn't as much technology as there is now. They were just guessing, and I didn't want to do induction because I didn't feel that induction was necessary. And yes, I was so sick of being pregnant, but I didn't. So I didn't have any drugs. I never wanted them, and not that I'm judging anybody who does. I just felt like I quit smoking when I was pregnant and I started eating, well, not with your sister. I didn't eat healthy food. I ate like Snickers and RC Cola, but I was like I just thought like if I was doing all of that to make sure that she didn't have bad things in her system, why put drugs in there if I didn't need them, which I didn't with her. And then when I had Lauren, I did need to be induced like that. It just had to happen. So I didn't say no. I'm crunchy. I don't do that. So I'm kind of in the middle. Like it's kind of situational. I prefer not to, but if it needs to be done, well,
Well, and that's one of the things where the crunchy moms really irritate me because I'm kind of crunchy about the birth thing too. Like, however, every time I say something about my son's birth where, he was in distress, he did need to come out. I had been in labor for way longer than any of us realized because I didn't know I was in labor. Um, he was stuck. I wasn't progressing. For some reason, my body has a really hard time progressing in active labor.
Mine does too. It's probably
Because with
hereditary.
Yeah, because with Henry, I was 5 centimeters, not quite active labor yet, but it even after my water broke, I didn't progress. And then with Ava, it took me 20 hours to go from 6 centimeters to 10 centimeters. But I always hear from the Crunchy moms, they say it was the Pitocin, that's why he came out blue. I'm like, or it was the fact that his cord was so tightly knotted that there was, by the time he was born, obviously during my pregnancy, he had to have had blood flow or he would not have survived. Sometime during the pushing phase or during my labor, the cord tightened. There was no blood flow on the baby side of the cord. It was white. So, no, the Pitocin is not the reason he couldn't breathe and he was in distress and he had to be resuscitated. So, I don't want to hear it.
I think that you do what you think is best for you, but just quit judging everybody else. And so I was always terrified of getting an epidural, so I never did. And it turns out that was a good thing because I had Chiari malformation. Well, I have Chiari malformation because it is a
It
malformation, so you can't. I will always
it
have it.
doesn't go away.
Right, I had the surgery for it, but I didn't. Nobody knew I had that at the time, and apparently, an epidural for somebody with Chiari malformation is a lot more dangerous. So perhaps that's why I had, because I do believe in intuition. Like maybe I just intuited that that would be bad for me. So I'm not judging anybody who gets an epidural. If you feel like you need that or whatever, I don't care. Like you do you, man. Because like my friend said, she's like, why wouldn't you get an epidural? I'm like, dude, I was afraid of them, so I didn't get them. And she was like, I just feel like, why be a hero?
And
And you know what?
I mean, I agree with that too. Funny thing about the intuition and Chiari malformation, I had an MRI after my first because it was such a horrible labor that I was like, I want to see right now, do I have Chiari malformation? Because if I don't, I'm getting the epidural next time. And they did the MRI. I never saw the imaging. I never saw the report, but they said, there's nothing of note on this MRI. I was like, okay, fine, maybe I'll do the epidural. And then I just kept seeing things like very specifically about concerns with epidurals. It seemed like a sign, and I know that sounds woo-woo weird. I don't even care.
I don't care
So
either
I,
because we're weird people.
yeah, it just seemed like I kept seeing things that led me towards maybe that's a bad idea. Like this
And
feels
that's
like a
what you
sign that I'm seeing all
said.
of
That's
this.
what you said to me. You're like, I don't know. It feels like a sign. I think I shouldn't do it because I keep seeing this stuff. So I was like,
Right. Yeah, so I didn't get the epidural. Now, finding out 14 months after having my second baby, where I considered having an epidural, I saw the MRI from after I had my first. I have Chiari malformation. They didn't consider it
because it's borderline.
it's
Because
borderline.
there's
If it's not,
borderline Chiari 1, Chiari 2, Chiari 3, Chiari 4. Chiari 4 is you're born with it already herniated, and there's also leaking spinal fluid and other things that go along with it, and they do not live. They live for a little while, but they do not live into adulthood. There is no way to save them, and that is the worst form of Chiari. Chiari
mhm.
3, also pretty bad, but they can do stuff and whatever, but quality of life is still pretty icky. Chiari 2, quality of life icky. That's a little more herniated than what mine was. And they usually have like this, spinal leakage going on too, spinal fluid leakage. Then Chiari
Yeah.
1 is herniated less. You may or may not have leakage, and it gets missed a lot. Borderline is, and I don't even think yours is. I think I think it is herniated, honestly, from what I saw. I just think it's not herniated enough for them to consider it herniated.
Yeah, so the issue with Chiari malformation, some doctors will not consider it Chiari malformation type 1 until your brain is more than 5 millimeters, or the cerebellar tonsils specifically of your brain are more than 5 millimeters outside of your skull, basically.
Right. So if you look at like a normal brain, that bottom part of the brain, people with Chiari, those they almost look like tongues. They're like longer, and so yeah, it's not good. Causes problems.
Yeah, so basically, they told me there was nothing wrong and it was totally normal. And then they showed me my brain. And this is not my brain, but I can actually show you a picture because I just found one that looks strikingly similar to mine.
You know this
If I can
doesn't have
find my.
anything to do with country moms, right?
It's crunchy adjacent. It's fine.
Country adjacent. Or then you have your
Crunchy
moms who are
adjacent.
completely chaotic and can't stay on topic, and that's us. Yeah,
This one right here, that's about how my brain looked.
right.
And they told me it was unremarkable when you compare that to like a normal brain. Let me find the normal brain. The normal brain is more like this.
Right.
Honestly, this one's not even a perfect example of a normal brain. Um, but they told me I didn't have Chiari. Turns out I actually do, but it's considered borderline, and it's kind of up in the air. Some doctors call it Chiari 1 if it's any bit herniated outside the skull. Some doctors won't consider it Chiari 1 until it's at least 5 millimeters.
Right. And so, cool story. We've talked about it on the show. I fired, I don't even know how many doctors at this point that I fired and refused to pay before I found the doctor who did the decompression surgery for me that literally saved my quality of life. And he's going to retire soon. But I had done so much research, and all the research I wrote was, or all the research I read was written by the doctor I ended up going to. He is like the leading person in the field for Chiari 1, particularly in older women, because they say that, well, if you didn't have problems when you were younger, you wouldn't have problems now, which is bullshit. Um,
And
anyway, she had a problem with the neurologist she was going to. She fired him, and
and I found through a Google search there's a place in Denver that claims that they use practices taught by the same doctor who did her surgery. So I'm hoping they're of the same his mindset was if it's symptomatic you do the surgery. It doesn't matter the severity, you do the surgery if it's symptomatic. I'm hoping the neurologist I reached out to, or the neurosurgeon, I apologize, has the same mentality. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, he
But
should if he studied under Hafez, because the one I went to that was leery about doing the surgery but sent me to Hafez. He's like, he studied under me. Why didn't he just do the surgery? And I said, I don't know. He just was concerned about. And he goes, well, I guess I'm going to have to retrain people. So my doctor was awesome and like the leading in the field for what I have. But unfortunately, if he hasn't retired yet, he's retiring soon. So
yeah,
that's
which is
unfortunate.
unfortunate because
He's amazing.
he's amazing. I would go to him if he weren't so far away.
Yeah. Well, and we don't even know if he retired yet.
I don't know. I did find his website when I was searching for Chiari 1
Well, if
treatment,
you don't, I
but
mean, it's worth the travel if you have to, though, honestly.
yeah.
Because if he's not retired yet, get him before he does.
Yeah. Um, so we got a little off topic there.
So off topic.
The other thing, so that was Crunchy versus Silky. We were talking about the birth thing, but it also talks about like home remedies versus modern medicine. And I don't fall harshly on either side of the fence there. I think if you can genuinely treat a symptom holistically with like, a home remedy, go for it. But if it's not working or if it's not something that has decent efficacy, just get the medicine. And I understand being nervous around doctors. I mean, I make the doctors show me every bottle of every medication so I can read the labels myself before they administer anything. But
See, now I personally won't generally take medication. I'm not saying I'm against medication. I'm just saying for me personally, I very rarely will take medication of any kind, over the counter or prescribed, because I am a little bit crunchy with myself.
right, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, if my kids get sick, I wouldn't want to take them to the doctor unless absolutely necessary. So I'm gonna do like a bath and some steam, and we're gonna do honey if they're old enough, and chest rub, like the Zarbee's chest rub, and a humidifier versus immediately reaching for the Tylenol. But I'm not above reaching for the Tylenol if my kid has a high fever or they're just so miserable that they cannot sleep.
See, with you guys, I mean, I did give the Tylenol and Motrin sometimes which you don't want to do without doctor supervision. Like you need to
Mhm.
speak to the doctor, but kids, particularly really small ones, can get spike really high fevers that get dangerous quickly. So I was a little more apt to use medication with my children when needed, but not overly so, but to avoid things like that. But with myself, like I could have a fever of 104. I'm not taking shit.
Yeah.
And I have had a fever of 104 and not taken anything. So I'm just like, if my brain cooks, whatever, it's squished anyway.
Might as well cook it too.
But I mean, I'm
Uh,
only hurting myself if that was the wrong call, which thus far it hasn't been. I've never actually taken a fever reducer to reduce my own fever ever in my adult life.
yeah. So let's see. Other crunchy versus silky things. Breastfeeding versus formula feeding.
This one always just makes
So,
me mad. I just like whatever you choose to do is what you choose to do. And you don't have to explain your reasons to anybody.
right. Like if you, and you don't have to feel bad about it either. Like if you wanted to breastfeed because you are that super crunchy mom and for some reason it didn't work out and you're using formula now, you didn't fail.
No.
You gave it the old college try. I mean, it really, there are just genuinely some people who breastfeeding will not work out for them one way or another because it's too taxing mentally, because you don't have the milk supply, because your kid can't latch. That doesn't mean you failed and you're suddenly not crunchy enough for the crunchy moms. You just
Well,
got
you
to do what you got
probably
to do.
are
Just feed your
not
kid.
crunchy enough for the crunchy moms because they tend to be very judgmental, just as the silky moms tend to be judgmental. And you know what? That's okay. You can come over to us scrunchy moms because we're not going to judge. We're like, hey, cool, good job. You're
Right, you did
doing
it.
it.
And you know what? In that realm of shiznit, find people who are more scrunchy on that. We talk a lot about the Moms Managing Network. Moms Managing Milk, they support formula feeding, breastfeeding, exclusively pumping, whole shebang. So if you've got milk issues, Moms Managing
Well, and I
Milk.
like this. There's somebody who I guess is famous, but I don't know who she is because I'm old and I'm out of touch. Um, but you've probably seen it on social media. She talked about why she chose to formula feed instead of breastfeed because she felt like she could be more present for her child.
Hmm.
Um, Formula feeding as opposed to breastfeeding. And then, of course, everybody on social media had something to say about it. And I met a very nice lady. I mean, I didn't meet her, we had an exchange on there. But she was like, oh, really? She's like, I felt like I was more present for my baby because of breastfeeding. And, she talked about her experience with breastfeeding. And I think she said she did it for about 9 months, which I think crunchy moms would bitch about that too, because she needs to do it till they're 5 or some shit. But she said, however, that was my choice. And she's thinking, I totally respect her choice and congratulations on your baby. And that's the attitude. Okay, right there. Like, I chose this and I felt like this was like the way for me to be present, but I recognize that somebody else had a different path to take.
Well, and I can speak on it from a couple different aspects because I did have to feed some formula to my first, and then I exclusively pumped, and then I nursed my second. Nursing my second was a much more enjoyable experience than exclusively pumping. But with exclusively pumping, I was done by 7 months, and I had enough milk for a very long time after, and I even donated quite a lot. So after the pumping was over, I would say exclusively pumping was better because I was just working off a freezer stash. It was like formula feeding without having to smell formula.
Yes, formula is stinky.
So, like, I felt hugely disconnected while I was still actively doing the exclusively pumping, and I really hated it. I didn't feel like I was spending that time with my child, but I felt like it was the best thing for my kid. So, I mean, it's okay to prioritize your mental health. Like I said, it was like a weight off my shoulder when I finally stopped. And then just, I could hold him and enjoy it, and I'd give him a bottle, and it was beautiful. So I can see both sides. And I don't feel any less bonded with my son, who I exclusively pumped for and bottle fed, than I do my daughter, who nursed.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak on that. I only formula fed. So, I mean, I nursed like a couple of days maybe, and like with like with your sister, I never had any milk with you. I probably would have, but I just like, no, I just couldn't do it for like, mostly mental reasons. And if you want to judge me on it, I promise you I don't care. Because I
Well,
didn't care then. I don't care now.
and also I think there, from what you've described, it sounds like there was probably a bad latch issue
There was.
with me, but the lactation support wasn't as good.
I mean, it, I probably could have sought out good counsel on it, but I really hate the nipple Nazis, so I refused to do that. Because, I would have had to reach out to the La Leche League, and please, ladies, don't come down on me with a ton of bricks because I had Lauren going on 29 years ago, so I'm sure the La Leche League is different now than they were then, but they were nipple Nazis. And they pissed me off when I had your sister because there was a lot of judgment and I literally could not feed her. I had no milk, no letdown, no nothing.
Well, and if you're a mom who experienced a postpartum hemorrhage, like you did,
Mhm.
you might not have a good milk supply, if any, because your body will make blood before your body will make milk.
Right, and it was making
So,
all kinds of blood for 8 weeks or something. Um,
yeah.
so, yeah, so I had a pretty bad experience with the La Leche League ladies when I had your sister. So I really didn't reach out when I had you. I just finally went, you know what? Like, I tried to, I can't. I told your dad to go buy formula. I was like, just go buy formula. I don't want to do this. And you know
Yeah.
what? And I don't feel bad about it. And I really don't care who judges it. It doesn't really matter. And as I've said in the past, I challenge you to say I'm not bonded with my children.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
let's see. Other Crunchy versus Silky. Birth control. Crunchy moms either do no birth control, natural family planning,
Okay.
or I don't know if there's any others on here, but no birth control or natural. The Silky moms use birth control and contraceptives.
Wait, so they use natural family planning as a form of birth control. The crunchy moms?
The Crunchy moms, if they use birth control, it's usually more of a natural
Like,
family planning method.
yeah. I mean, if you're going to do that, you really need to know your cycle. Because
Yeah.
it might not work too good for you.
So where I stand on birth control, I don't care if somebody else uses it, if you think that's the right choice for you. I have been on 3 or 4 different birth controls and had vastly different issues on them. Some of them were tolerable for about a year and then they were terrible. And it's just one of those things where it feels like such an exercise in futility for me to be taking the extra medication that for myself I'd rather just not use it in terms of hormonal birth controls. So for me, it's just I'm not going to take it for myself, but I wouldn't judge somebody else for doing it.
I did take hormonal birth control for 2 years, but not consecutively. And it worked fine for me for about a year, but after a year, it starts to kind of mess me up.
Hmm.
So I don't love it. I didn't do it for very long, but I just think I'm not against it. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, but I just feel like maybe the men could be a little inconvenienced and just put a condom on. It's just as effective and it's not messing your body up. So that's where at with that.
Well, and I don't know where it would fall on the crunchy versus silky spectrum, but I'm also a big fan of permanent sterilization when you're done having kids.
Me too.
Whether that's a tubal ligation or your partner getting a vasectomy, or in my case, I'm hoping to get a full hysterectomy because I am sick of having a uterus. Um,
Yeah, I opted for permanent sterilization, which was a battle though. I really had a hard time getting a doctor to agree to it, but I wore him down and I got it done.
yeah.
And
Um,
I already was permanently sterilized. So mine wasn't even operational. And I still had a
yeah.
problem getting him to do the hysterectomy. I mean, he did it, but like, oh
Yep.
goodness.
But then there's that guy Paige went to, who Paige, like, I helped my sister write this whole list of all the reasons why she wanted a hysterectomy
Mhm.
and, like, ready to advocate and fight with this guy. And she goes, I want to get a hysterectomy. Here's why. And he goes, oh, okay, sure, let's get it on the books.
Well, right, but I mean, pregnancy killed her.
Pregnancy did kill her. So,
No, she's not dead, but she did die.
Like,
Like pregnancy
it's like a
was,
little bit.
yeah, she died a little bit. She died. I don't even think she would have been considered legally dead because she was not pronounced. So,
No, she wasn't legally dead, but she was functionally dead for about, what, 30 seconds, if that?
you know what? I couldn't even tell you how long it was because in a situation like that, time is different.
Yeah.
It felt like an eternity that my daughter was flatlining. I'm sure it wasn't.
Well, and that's how it felt with Henry when he was born, especially because I couldn't see what was going on. I was still like laying there being stitched back together, and they took my baby way over there. I couldn't see him, and there's people all around him. My husband claims it was only a few minutes, but I'm like, I have no idea. For me, it was like the longest period of time in my entire life.
Right. Yeah,
So,
that's the way it was when your sister flatlined. It was just, again, I knew it was going to happen because I had the premonition. And so I knew that that was going to happen, and it did. And then it just seemed like a really long time. However, the operation, the C-section from start to finish was only about 25, 26 minutes, which is longer than most C-sections go. Most C-sections, I guess he was telling me, are about 20 minutes. So I mean, it was like 5 or 6 minutes longer than a normal C-section. That's because they ran into some issues. And 5 or 6 minutes seems like a long time because they told me it was going to be 20 minutes. I'm like, it's been more than 20 minutes, and so the whole thing seemed like an eternity. In reality, the operation from start to finish was only about 26 minutes. And
yeah,
it was probably a very short period of that time that she flatlined. So, I mean, it probably wasn't even a minute before they got her
back.
vitals back. But it seemed like we had been in that room for like 12 hours. And we
Yeah.
were there 26 minutes. So,
Yeah. And so on the whole like birth control, permanent sterilization, whatever, the other one I hear, and I don't know if this is a Crunchy and Silky Mom thing or if this is a men versus women thing, is if you say, I, as the woman in my relationship, am seeking permanent sterilization, other women will jump on you and tell you that he should be doing it because you already put in the work to have kids. So he should just go get the vasectomy. And I
yeah,
don't,
here, that is a decision between you and your husband, that really nobody else belongs in. And here's the situation. I'm a little bit older than my husband. Okay. I did not want more children. He wasn't necessarily in the same camp of he didn't want any more children. Now, is he going to go cheat on me because he wants another child? No. But what if I died? He would not have
right,
the opportunity to go have more children. Um,
right.
should he want to in that situation, which obviously didn't happen, but there's that to consider too. I was the one who definitely, absolutely, 100% did not want to have more children. He wasn't necessarily like, not that he was like, oh, I want more children, don't do it. He didn't tell me what to do, but I was the one who wanted it, so then that's my problem to deal with. Not to mention, he had some pretty big phobias about hospitals at the time, and he had never had any surgery. So, him going in and having him work on those nuts wasn't going to happen. So, I wasn't going to get knocked up because my husband was freaked out about a little scalpel work. So, I did it. But,
Well, and with my husband and I, like the discussion had always been from the beginning before we even talked about having kids necessarily was when I'm done having kids, I want a hysterectomy. That was a decision I made entirely on my own because I have huge female issues and like I have to be on constant iron all the time just to keep my hemoglobin low end of normal. And even with that, my ferritin was in the trash. So like now I have to be on this weird concoction of supplements just to keep myself at a normal function because of female issues. That would all be gone if I didn't have a uterus.
well, and it's
So it
just,
was never even a discussion for
well,
us.
and not only that, just like I said, that's really between the couple, and it's really nobody else's business. And don't assume that he's just a jerk because he's not the one who got sterilized. Do you know?
Hmm.
Because again, in our situation, he's younger. He he wasn't in the camp of no more children. So
Yeah.
how fair is that? What if I would have like died in a car wreck or something and he got remarried? We were still in our 20s. You know what I mean? What if
Hmm.
he wanted more children? Like that didn't happen, but it could have happened.
Right. Okay. Last Crunchy versus Silky before we end this, just because I think it might be a decent one. Um, Crunchy moms use organic products. Silky moms don't care. What are your thoughts?
I just, so with organic products, I think there's only a very few things that are worth the price difference for organic products. And I don't want to get into that on this show. Go research it for yourself. It, it's just, yeah.
One of the common misconceptions, I think, with organic products is that they don't use pesticides or fungicides. They do, and a lot of times those pesticides they use actually have is it, how do I word it? They're essentially more toxic in smaller doses than the typical non-organic ones. So I think really if you're that concerned, farmers markets where you can actually talk to people about like direct to the farmer and you can actually discuss like what do you use on your crops if you really care that much.
Well, and there are some things that you might want to care about because there are certain foods that the stuff can soak into the quick of the plant. But there's very few of those things that you can't just wash the food and be fine. So, yeah, it is worth it if you're concerned about it for a very limited number of food. Um, but you're just spending a lot of money you don't need to be spending.
Well, and like I know the big thing with organic eggs, there is not a lot of reasoning to do so. So the chicken consume what makes an organic egg is whether or not you feed a chicken organic feed.
Hmm.
Um, very little of that is actually going to cross over into the egg when it's produced by the chicken. So it really doesn't matter if it's organic or not for your eggs. Your best bet is pasture raised, but apparently even that, the classification of what allows that is very lax apparently as well. So pasture raised is your best bet if you're getting it store bought. Better yet if you can find somebody locally, because you're just going to have better nutritional value in the egg. It has nothing to do with the type of feed and everything to do with the way the chickens are raised, and more of the macronutrients in the chicken feed is what affects your eggs.
Well, yeah, and a lot of the selling everything as organic is really gimmicky and they're just kind of screwing you over.
Yeah.
So, would I prefer to buy my fruits and vegetables from like a farmer's market from somebody local who, they're doing, you know, small farming? Yeah, when that's possible, for sure. I like that. The food is usually better because it's fresher. It like literally just got picked and then they brought it to the farmer's market. It hasn't,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? It hasn't been shipped from some other country or whatever. So it's fresher. But when that's not possible, like just wash your vegetables. Meat doesn't really matter that much, to be fair.
Yeah, and there are some things I will buy organic on purpose, not because I care about the organic label, but because the organic ones are usually better. So, like, I always buy the organic basil when I buy fresh basil, because the non-organic basil comes in this teeny weeny package and it's usually moldy within a day. The organic basil is like this giant container of basil and it's delicious and it's like big leaves but that's more I'm looking at the food quality, not the label on the food.
Right,
So,
right. Just yeah, just now what I am, I guess, more crunchy on is I do prefer to eat less processed food or not processed food more often than not. And that's not to say that I never eat processed food because of course I do, but I try not to. And then like when I cook, there's usually not that many ingredients,
hmm
you
If
know.
there's a lot of ingredients when I cook, it's because I've added a lot of different spices.
Right, but what I'm saying is, I've got a hunk of meat. I don't have. Now that's going to be processed, obviously, because they butchered it.
Right,
But
butchering is a
it is a
process.
process. But I don't buy a lot of things that have like a lot of nitrates and all of that stuff in it for the preservative. Now the trade-off with that is the food doesn't last as long. So, but when you're talking meat, I freeze it and then I just take it
Right.
out when I'm going to use it. So yeah, I try to be minimal with the processing of food unless I'm having a day where I'm just like, you know what, a freezer pizza sounds great.
And you don't like check your prices at your store too, because obviously this is all assuming cost is not an issue for you.
Right.
But let's say you want to be crunchier with your food choices. I've actually found at our supermarket buying the fresh chicken breasts costs less per pound than buying the frozen.
Mm-hmm.
The only trade-off is sometimes it's not boneless. It's not terribly hard to debone it yourself, but the price per pound is so much better. So I've been buying like the big 3 or 4 pound trays of chicken, and then I just portion out the fresh chicken and freeze it myself.
Yeah, we buy in bulk a lot with the meat, and we have a deep freezer, so that's nice. But even like with my like my side dishes or whatever, I prefer and use like whole grains, brown rice, you know, not not because I'm eating granola, because I actually don't eat a lot of granola. It's not that good for you, but I mean it's not bad for you. It's
Right.
just not as good for you as people think it is. Like, and then they're like eating all this granola and wondering why they're getting fat. But I just nutritional value. I just feel like I want the most nutrition from my food because I work out really hard, so I want to fuel my body with quality food. But there is a way to do that that's not super duper expensive too. So, keep an eye on your sales, keep an eye, read
hmm
labels. The less ingredients, the better.
On that note, this has been Crunchy Mom versus Silky Mom with a lot of friggin' tangents.
Yeah, I don't even know if we talked about that, honestly, but we're scrunchy, so we don't really care.
Yeah, so if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe because we might expand more on some of these topics we hit at the end here in the next episode on fitness.
Fitness.
Boom.